Okay, now let's talk about the individual aid stations. And I'll just start with a note about the start and the finish line. Again, not really an aid station, but some of the same applies. And the food and beverage coordinator, one of the volunteer positions, will be taking care of the start and the finish line. But real quick, the start line is going to have water, it's going to have tailwind, electrolyte drink, we're going to have some fruit, probably bananas, and cereal bars, that sort of thing. They'll be under a tent. And the anything that's left there after all the runners leave, the food and beverage coordinator is going to pack all that up, take it to the finish line where there's another tent where all the food, mostly donuts, are going to go at the finish line at the end of the finisher chute, and you'll just add that stuff to the food and drink table there. You'll bring the water, you'll bring the tailwind dispenser, you'll bring all that sort of stuff and just set it up. You'll bring the leftover bananas, all that. Okay, so as far as the normal aid stations, there's 3 of them. The first one is at mile 3.14, or pi, get it? So that's the pi stop. So that is the most remote and maybe the most unique of the aid stations. It's a lot of fun. It's very unexpected. Again, that's what we're going for. We want unique, we want unexpected, we want a fun vibe. So you're running through the middle of the woods and then somebody's offering you pie. So that doesn't happen in most races. That's a great memory for most folks. Now it is the most remote. You'll get there from Tomahawk Drive, and we'll send you or show you on Google Map where that is. But you're going to drive about a half a mile on the trail to the actual aid station, mile 3.14. The trail is pretty narrow. There's little space to turn around. We'll find the closest, widest spot close to mile 3.14. And I strongly recommend you do a dry run beforehand, just so you can kind of see how tight it is, what kind of car you want to bring. Absolutely no more than 1 car. So for that aid station, you definitely have to carpool. And you don't want to bring a giant SUV or a large truck, because remember, you're going to have to turn around or you're going to have to drive backwards for a half mile. What you'll end up doing more than likely is about an 8-point turn to turn around and get out. Now there's no dangers as far as the surface is clear, it's flat, and the vegetation on both sides. There's no branches hanging on the trail, anything like that. So it's just pretty narrow. It's hard to turn around. The site will be obvious when you get there. We will have already put out, signs like this. We might have the bypass lane marked. So what you're serving up, again, it's meant to be fun, unexpected, is these mini fruit pies. And you'll have 350 of them. So we'll have one for everybody. You're going to want to, they're probably going to be 2 different flavors, or at least 2 different flavors. You'll probably want to put them in serving dishes like this. We can give you these. Given how fast people are coming through, you might need something bigger, something like this. So we'll give you both. And just, I wouldn't unload all the boxes at once, but just keep the bins kind of full, because there's not going to be a big spread of runners. You're only 3 miles in, so they're going to be on you pretty quick. So again, what these are is fruit mini pie. So I'm going to take a break. All right, now let's talk about the main aid station, also called the campsite aid station. It's at mile 6.2, so it's 10K in, almost at the halfway point. It's by far the largest aid station. There's a lot going on. The crew that we have there, the volunteers, is significantly bigger than the other 2 aid stations. So what it is, it's a section of the trail that's been widened by the Boy Scouts, I believe. They host some overnight camping events there. There's a large fire pit with a cover, an ash cover on it. There's several picnic tables. There's just a lot of room to spread out. We will also put a porta-john there. So it's the only aid station that has a porta-john. So plan accordingly. The access is fairly easy. So it's off of the Indian Town Road, Route 610, I believe. intersection. There's a well-marked trailhead there with some limited parking. There's room for probably 3, 4, maybe 5 cars. Now the actual campsite is about a half mile down the trail from that parking area. So normally there's some posts in the way that prevent people from driving down the trail. But for this event, certainly you can and should send at least one vehicle down the trail with all the stuff. And there's plenty of room there to turn around, so it can be a truck to take all this stuff. That's perfectly fine. In fact, you can probably take a couple of cars. There's probably room to park. I wouldn't do more than that. You might want to, if you have to bring another car to drop something off, I would do that early and then get it back out of there and park back at the trailhead. Okay, so let's talk about the fire first of all. So the firewood will be provided. It's already there. It's under a tarp, so it should be fairly dry. But you'll want to bring your own kindling or a starter log of some sort, and don't forget the matches or a lighter. There's no shame in using a starter log. Again, we're not here as Boy Scouts. The point is to get the fire going as fast as possible because there's a lot of other things that need your attention. Okay, I mentioned there's a cage. There's a wire cage, kind of a dome that goes over top of the fire pit. It's attached to some wires. You'll see they all come down through pulleys and they attach to the tree. So it should be pretty obvious where you detach that and pull it up if you have to raise or lower the cage. And the last point about the fire is when you're done, you have to completely douse the fire, obviously. There should be a water barrel, a rain barrel there. You can use that. Of course, you can use any leftover water from the aid station, whatever it takes to make sure the fire is completely out and the fire pit is soaked. I'm also going to give you, at the aid station only, a couple of hammocks like this. It comes with these straps. You should be able to figure out how to, you don't have to drill anything into the tree, you don't have to nail into the tree, it just wraps around, wraps through itself. Then there's hooks that attach to it. So there should be plenty of options along the trail, right off the trail. Just set these up, and again, it adds to the unexpected and fun nature of the campsite, of the aid station. Just encourage people to take a break. They're there to make s'mores and to roast marshmallows, and at least most of them are. Again, there's going to be a lot of people that they're actually there competing or they're training, so they're not going to stop. They're just going to run right through. So don't be offended by that. That's it's just not their thing. So tables, there's plenty of tables, probably 3 or 4 picnic tables at the aid station, at the campsite. So I will warn you that at least in years past, a couple of them have been a little rotted. The bench part is falling through, so I wouldn't rely upon them too much. I would definitely still take 2 or 3 tables like this to hold all the food and water, that sort of thing. So you'll want to, the campsite's pretty long, so there's plenty of room to spread out. And this is true of any aid station. You want to have the beverage first. So the first thing that the runners will get to is the water. And in the case of the campsite, you're going to have water, and then you're going to have Tailwind, which is an electrolyte drink. So you want that first. That's the first thing they want. And then as you get into it at the campsite, you'll have, you just want to position things where they make logical sense. So we'll have the s'mores kits, for example. Everything you need to make s'mores will be in a little Ziploc bag, probably in a bin like this. And obviously you want that somewhere near the fire pit or just before the fire pit. One lesson learned from last year is some people said, they came back and said, I'm really disappointed I didn't get s'mores, or I didn't get Peeps, or whatever. And then we had a ton of them left over. So the problem was it wasn't right on the trail. It wasn't obvious where it was. So we don't want to make people go, into the back of the aid station to find it. And we need it along the trail, and it has to be obvious. So I'll give you clear bins like this to keep filled so that people can see them a little easier. I'll also put out some signs just to let people know where things are. But just keep that in mind. We want everything to be easy to spot. You know, it's going to be like you're at Costco. You're walking through Costco aisle. People are offering you food left and right. You don't have to go looking for it. They're offering you samples. So that's how the aid station will be. You're not going to have to serve them. You know, the s'mores kits, for example, it's self-serve. They'll pick one up and go. But just be sure to tell people, you know, what's available and where it is. Let's see. As far as food, you're going to have some cereal bars. Probably you'll have Peeps, which again is just another fun way to get sugar in people. And you'll have some drinks. You'll have water. You'll have Tailwind, electrolyte. Think of it like Gatorade. But you'll also have some hot drinks. You'll have hot chocolate, and you'll have hot apple cider. So that presents some other challenges, or it requires some additional equipment. So you're going to need one, maybe two camp stoves, probably a propane. I've got one over here, but a propane powered camp stove, something like this, and some sort of pot to heat the water for the hot chocolate and the hot apple cider. Let's see. And then the last point, I think, about the campsite, and by the way, when I talk about the water or the beverages, I'm not talking about that in detail here. There's a whole separate video for that, so we'll come back to that. The last unique thing about the campsite is that we're going to have kind of a mini aid station for dogs. We're going to have a lot of dog runners. I make my race to be very dog friendly. So at about the halfway point, I'll have some signs. I'll have a little, you know, some dog bowls. There'll be bags of treats like this available. We'll just set those out. Maybe we'll put them in a bin like this. Again, they should be obvious. It'll be self-serve. Your role is mainly to make sure the water bowl, for example, is always full. Okay, the last aid station is at about mile 10.2. It's in the neighborhood called the Meadows, and it's at the intersection of the Trail and Panorama Drive. Very, very easy to get to. It's a small stop. It's serving water and some prepackaged gummies or something like that, whatever we can find. The thing to keep in mind is, you know, at this point you're 10 miles into a run. You got 4 miles to go. A lot of people are going to be struggling. They're going to need some extra encouragement. There's going to be a lot of people that think they can't make it. So just be extra enthusiastic at this stop. You really want to encourage people. You know, you're almost there. Take a break, have some water, and refuel, and get back out there. As far as parking, access is pretty easy. It's right off the road. The problem, however, is the HOA in the neighborhood is not very supportive. So to stay out of trouble with them, what you'll want to do is park completely off the road. Don't have your tires even touching the road. Better yet, park along the trail right there. There's kind of an easement. I think the trail easement is like 50 feet, is owned by the trail. So you can park there and not block the trail. So just, again, stay off the road completely. Again, you probably want to carpool, just have one car there. Let's see. You'll have, more than likely at that aid station, you'll have an additional volunteer there from the traffic team. Because again, you're at a road crossing. You cross the road, and right across the road is the trail, goes back into the woods. But we're going to have somebody from the traffic team there just to make sure cars stop if there's runners coming. So I'm not sure if the aid station team will do this or the traffic team will do it. It might depend year to year, but we're going to have two traffic cones, green traffic cones, or I should say 2 pairs of traffic cones, and we want these placed on both sides of the trail, on either side of the road. And the reason we're doing that is you're coming down the trail. It should be absolutely obvious. You don't get off on a road. You run between the cones to stay on the trail, because people have actually gotten lost that way. So that's how we're addressing that. So again, that might be done for you. If not, this might be something we add to your equipment and you just place them out there. There's actually going to be green painted marks, so it's pretty foolproof. You just put these on on those marks and we'll be good to go. And the reason we don't leave those out, we don't put them out early, is because I don't want these to get stolen. Again, there's some people in that neighborhood aren't too keen on the trail coming through their neighborhood, even though it was there long before the neighborhood. So things go missing, so we don't want to put those out there too early. So I believe that's everything except how to handle and serve drinks, especially since we're in a what's called a cupless race. So we'll talk about these. We'll save that for another video. So again, I hope you have fun. Thanks for volunteering. Cheers.